I've been called like, your cousin is coming with the children and they will come pick you up around noon. And then I was like, okay. I called the next day, it's like, what time would be around noon? And they're like, 10:30. I was like, what the fuck? 10:30 isn't noon, 10:30 is pure morning. Oh, guys. How have you been, guys?
Been good, been good. Alrighty.
Today we will explore the Smurfs village. I wanna meet Papa Smurf and okay. What's your guys' favorite Smurf besides Peppa Smurf?
I don't have one. I haven't seen the Smurfs for a very long time.
I always like the um I don't know their English names. The one that's always like trying to show off with his intelligence and getting kicked in the ass outside of the village. I
I
like
think
that
they
one.
call him Brainy.
Brainy Smurf. He's my favorite.
Yeah, I liked him. Um,
Yep, Brainy.
I also like the
Uh,
Cook Smurf and the Grumpy Smurf.
Hefty, like the one that shows off his like muscle all the time.
Yeah,
The
that one's
macho
cool
Smurf.
too, but I mean like the super grumpy one that's like, I don't wanna do anything. I hate this place. Always found him just funny.
Alrighty, so let me be ready in just a second.
Should
So
Me
you
should.
walk into
too.
the Mushroom Village. Roll initiative.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen, alright.
You get 13 multi attacks.
I'm looking for a good backdrop image for a little the place. So I forgot to do that. My bad.
It's okay. We are having a map here. Should be fine.
I like this one. Okay.
Hmm. I'm tempted to go push to talk on Discord to discuss stuff on the stream while we are playing. Does that seem unfair?
I don't mind as long as you pay attention, you know?
I always pay attention. It doesn't let me talk a lot, I think. Uh, Something really awkward happened to me like 2 days ago. I was like, I can do one more Dungeons and Dragons games, and then I found one that is like in a suitable time and suitable play hours, and then I applied for it. But then the dungeon master was like, "Yeah, leave your Discord ID so I can contact you in game," and I did so. And the next day, I received a friend invitation from a guy, and if you don't mind, I don't want to put that on stream, but I can put the ID here. So, by itself, there is nothing wrong with this. If you do not consider, like altogether, And I did report that guy. Probably it was like some kid or some very disturbed person.
Unfortunate.
I will delete it in a little bit and just have to take a look at it. And I was like, oh my god, what the fuck? You silly asshole.
Could you please not post a little
Yeah,
penis
please,
in Discord
please
chat?
don't do that, dude.
I did receive it. Like, yeah, I said I was going to delete it after you take a look at it. Tell me, how can you guys do something like this?
Well, Moon,
Well,
that's
we
not the
don't.
problem. The problem is that you shouldn't have done that in the first place. Like, I'm sorry that that happened to you, but don't do that, please.
Fine,
That's not
fine.
okay.
I just didn't want to discuss the absurdity on the stream and stuff. I just don't get it. What? Why you would do something like that?
Well, I mean, we
Well,
can't
we
explain it
don't.
either. Like, I'm sorry. But,
We are
I
not the
mean,
target audience for sending dick pics on girls by Discord, I think. You would have to ask this guy, not us.
No, I am not talking to him. Period. And I don't know if it actually is a guy. Anybody can do that. Either being a guy or a girl. So it is really, like, why would you do that?
okay.
And there we go. Yeah, push it
Alright, so
out and
just
so
to
on.
give a little information on what happened. At the beginning of the session, you guys were still in Docktown. There was a little bit of a shopping spree / get things commissioned type thing going on. So that before you guys left, needed any supplies and things of that sort. Fifi got the head to get it. She went to go get the head embalmed. Then got his gun fixed and bought some tools so that he could fix his gun on the fly. I believe Simon, did you also buy something?
No, I just got information of where to buy pearls and I got my dagger identified.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you guys pretty much did some shopping and stuff. Moonshadow bought some bread.
Okay.
And yeah, so then you guys left to go to Shelltown, which is not too far away. Shelltown is about 2 days away from town, and right past Shelltown is Hovel City. But you guys are making a little bit of a pit stop at Shelltown before you guys go there. However, before you guys could even reach Shelltown, you came across one night when you guys were sleeping, some bugbear set up a camp across the road from you all, and they asked for food. Fifi, who was on watch at the time, gave them, and they came back and gave a gift, which was a bow of some sort. And then they went on their way. You guys woke up and continued to walk, and then a little while later, you ran into what seemed to be some adventurer, some very burly men. Not very nice looking, wearing chef's uniforms and using chef's instruments, and abuse a little mushroom man you guys have not really seen before, not really acquainted with. You guys rescued the little mushroom man, drove off the chef people, and then proceeded to ask the mushroom man some questions, and he had begun to lead you back to his so it would seem. That is what he told you. He speaks telepathically with you all through these spores that he emits in the air. It's a weird experience to have someone's speech translated directly into your mind, and to not like have their mouth be moving or anything. But you guys are getting used to it as you spend more time with him. He doesn't seem to have a name, which is
Weird.
common in his community to not be named. And that's where we're going to start off with you guys towards the community that this mushroom man is taking you to. And as you guys are walking off the beaten path, kind of going away from the road, there doesn't seem to be any sort of road or anything that would really deem like something that people really travel into very much. He's kind of going into a sort of a lot of shrubbery and things. I mean, you guys started making your way into this thick, overgrown path of a mushroom forest. More common in the south than in the north, but it's a nice, pleasant sight. There are lots of insects flying around, and you see some monitor lizards and the like scurrying about on the floor of this whole little forest. It's strangely earthy, but also kind of sweet, almost like some sort of sap or syrup.
Yeah.
The mushroom man, you hear his voice kind of go into your minds. We will be there momentarily.
What?
Alright.
And I do ask that, stay not quiet, but, calm, I suppose is the word.
What?
Mushroom folk are, very get scared easily.
Alright.
Oh, so you're worried about them being scared of us?
Yes, so.
Yes, more or less.
Just know.
So very curious people. It's just if you make too many sudden movements, or if you have your weapons drawn, or if you look like you're about to cast some sort of dangerous spell, or
I see.
that sort, they might get scared, reasonably so. They, many of us are, to the outside world. We're very sheltered.
I understand. I think we can all agree that we do not do any rash movements or have our weapons out. Isn't that right, guys?
Sure. I'm not planning on hurting any of you little guys.
Alright.
How long have we been walking with? Like, how long of a detour has this been?
At the moment, it's about 45 minutes. It's looking like you're probably going to get there in maybe another 20, 25.
So not too far.
Yeah, not too far. But speaking of which, eventually you guys come across this large sort of, it's a cave, but it looks like it was, man-made. Rather than stone, it seems to be covered in this sort of bramble and like thick vines that kind of entwine against each other and make this sort of basket, a hemispherical basket, which kind of leads into an underground passage. And he says, "Through here." Stream off to the side that kind of, it's very thin and small, but it kind of trickles into the passage. He takes you, or starts leading you. And as he does so, the scent definitely changes. It's a little bit more, it doesn't necessarily smell bad, but it's a little bit more dank, dusty, stagnant, if you will. It still has that same earthy kind of smell, but it's a lot more intense, to the scent glands. Not like unsettling or uncomfortable or anything of a like. The air down here is a lot more, it's a lot more, just kind of chilly, a little bit heavy, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. And
You guys are
yes,
walking down here, you can already notice some changes in the environment as the tall mushrooms that you were seeing outside begin to decrease in size, and you see these smaller, kind of glowing mushrooms dimly lit, dimly lighting the path that you're walking on. Some bats in the cave, which are one of the few mammals that kind of you've seen on your whole trip. There's insects scurrying along the wall, but they're more or less smaller creatures. Actually, he leads you down here with the damp kind of undergrowth squishing underneath your feet. You see your first little group of other mushroom people, and they seem to be gathered around in a circle, sort of sitting cross-legged. And there's one mushroom man in particular that's quite a bit bigger than the others. He's maybe about 10, 12 feet tall, while the others are standing at around 5, 6, maybe even 4 feet. And they're all kind of
quite a bit taller.
pretty much double the size. And they're all kind of sitting there cross-legged, kind of meditating. And it's almost as if, like, once your mushroom friend kind of gets within a vicinity of them, they all kind of perk up and look in its direction. And they kind of just stare at you.
Yeah, we have dog people.
They are currently building. It's an event that we Myconids partake in quite often.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a socially acceptable greeting that I can do without scaring them off?
Well, usually our greeting is to explode spores around us and sort of wave them in the air with our arms, since you cannot do that.
Well, I could wave at them.
Simply waving is acceptable.
And in that case, I wave at them.
The large, lumpy arms raise up and slowly give like a single wave before lowering back down. And they kind of stop staring at you, and they kind of look back towards each other and restart their apparently what is called melding. That is one of the first groups we'll come across. There are many more here. You might find it surprisingly large population size. You guys begin heading deeper into the cave. The once sort of rocky, kind of underbrush, damp terrain that you guys were in before quickly turns into, while it's still chilly, it warms up a little bit, and you begin to see a lot more moss, lichen, a lot more kind of grass, ferns, things of that sort as you go deeper into the community center. You see constantly are seeing these mushroom people walking by. Some of them are pulling carts of what seems to be some sort of a fertilizer, some sort of a compost. Some of them are walking back, and you can see some of them are actually holding dead insects and the like, kind of throwing them onto this large bin, I mean. You see more groups that seem to be melding, like the one that you were seeing before. There don't seem to be a lot of the really big mushroom people, the ones that are like 10, 12 feet tall. Those seem to only be leading and like leaders of these little circles that you guys are seeing here and there, which consist of about 5 to 6 mushroom people, including the big guy. So a lot of the Myconids look kind of the same. They're all sort of thick in terms of structure. They're kind of heavy set, not necessarily fat, but just, I mean, mushroom people, kind of stocky, thick arms and legs. And you see a few of them that are a bit on the smaller side, and as a matter of fact, this little group of very small little mushroom people, maybe about 2.5 feet tall at most. One of them approaches you. I guess I'll roll a dice to determine which one of you specifically it approaches. Kevin, you're kind of looking about, kind of looking at all the things, and it's sort of bewildering. It's not something that any of you have ever seen before. As this small little mushroom person, it has a very sort of a tall, elongated cap. It runs up to you. It looks like it has a singular dark hole in the center of its mass as some sort of eye, and you watch as it kind of emits this gas of like blue-green spores in your general vicinity, and it says, "Hello, Mister. Welcome."
You're rolling him back.
Which one of us is it talking to?
You, Kevin.
Oh,
He's
I
talking to
say,
Reggie.
hello. How are you, little guy?
I am well. I am learning how to do work.
All right. Well, work is very important. Make sure you study and stay in your learning.
I definitely will. And he raises up his tiny. He doesn't really have fingers yet. He kind of has like these little growths that seem to be turning into fingers, but they're not quite formed yet. And so he points this sort of lumpy arm towards your gun. He points at. And what is that, sir?
Well, this is my rifle. I use it to feed myself and protect myself.
Oh, it makes food. That's quite useful.
Well, kind of. Yeah, it can be very dangerous though, not for little ones to play.
Oh, well, I suppose I understand. Maybe I can get one eventually. And as you say this, as he says this other Myconid kind of grabs him and kind of pulls him into the group with all these other small, what seem to be children, mushroom children, I suppose.
It makes
Um,
food. Oh, it's
I
really
look
bad.
over. I look over to the other people that are with me, and I'm like, was he talking to you guys too, or just?
Well, I think he took a liking to you.
So weird. There's someone talking to you, and only you can hear.
Well, it's all about those spores, I guess.
The mushroom that's the man that's been leading you. He says, "How are you enjoying the community? Well, how are you?"
Well, they seem very friendly.
Yes, we are very peaceful, sort of calm, people. Both at
Seem
heart.
quite intelligent too. It's shocking that an intelligent creature would willingly eat another intelligent creature. I can't believe that what we stumbled upon was even happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, It's bewildering what you
Hmm.
wolves, dwarves, etc. will do to people that look a lot different.
Yeah, it's a tragic thing, but some of mankind is always rotten. Like
Yes.
it's similar to a disease that can befall any one of us. So it's a sad thing, but greed and avarice is never to our advantage.
Yes, the elder always preaches about the evils of mankind and the like. And
I kind of like look at Dancer and look back at the mushroom, and I'm like, yeah, greed's terrible.
Yeah.
yeah. It
Well,
is.
mankind does have its bad apples, but one thing mankind does also have is the quality to learn and redeem themselves. Even the worst criminal has the chance to become someone better that helps the community instead of hurting it.
I believe the elder believes that as well. I think I'm not
I don't.
very kindly about some.
You see, man is kind of like the seasons, always changing. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse.
That makes sense. However, criminals are something we have not here. Red Force.
That is very admirable.
Indeed. And another thing you've noticed that you've been walking with this man, he walks very slow compared. All the mushroom people walk really slow. At least the really tall ones seem to move
So our hour walk was
a
mostly
lot
just
slower than
us.
you guys.
Yeah, just us like not getting ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
So I
it
mean
makes
that's
sense
another thing that's made the trip take longer is that you've kind of had to follow his pace because he's leading you.
it makes sense if you only have stumps for feet, you tend to take a
Yeah,
bit
you
longer
tend to be a little
walking.
bit slower. I forgot to move it, by the way. There you go.
That looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, there's just mushrooms all about and this kind of chilly fog that kind of is constantly wafting throughout the place, but it's nothing to make you like uncomfortably cold. You do see as you guys are walking once again, there seems to be a large group of these mushroom people gathered around. It looks like this large plot of soil, and it's kind of like they've buried themselves in it, so that only like a little bit of their heads and like their caps kind of stick out of the ground.
Hmm.
These
This
are
is
the,
the strangest place I've ever been to.
I suppose, to we are very different anatomically, as I'm sure you can tell. We all have two legs and two arms, but mm, we we feast differently than your kind.
So how do you feast?
We absorb nutrients through the earth.
Yeah,
Oh, that's very
We
interesting.
makes sense.
The things you saw earlier, the compost bins and things of the like, those are
Their food.
those are how we enrich the soil.
And I don't want to seem rude maybe to your people, but so you're more a very intelligent version of plants than from your behavior and such.
That's more or less an accurate description. However, if we're talking about plant life, fungus and the like, I would say that's to you than you think than plants.
Interesting.
Anyways, it looks like we've finally arrived. He kind of gestures upwards, and you see this large, describe it as a very large teepee. And when I say very large, I mean humongous. It almost reaches the very top of the cave, like uh
So it's like the mega
solid
mushroom on the
60 feet
picture.
high. And it's this large, it's not a creature, it's a large sort of tent or teepee that's made out of some sort of bark and canvas substance. Large drape at the bottom, sort of almost like it's like a silk curtain. Says, "This is where the elder lives. Allow me to commune with him before we enter."
Of course.
He kind of shoots these spores out into of this place. I'm standing there silently, kind of with his eyes closed, nodding.
I elbow Reggie. It's like, Reggie, what the hell was that? Your rifle producing poo? Are you nuts?
Well, it was just a little flare of language. I mean, I use it to hunt sometimes.
Yeah, but then specify that. Because they might
Well,
actually try something that like that and hurt themselves.
I don't think we have to hide that we do have to hunt. I mean, I do think it's clear to them that we are of a different species and thus needs different kinds of nutrition.
I
Yeah, but
think
then
that,
explain it properly.
well, to be honest, I didn't know what they'd understand and what they wouldn't understand.
I think it's best to just stay honest with them, and that way we don't get into any trouble. I don't think you did anything wrong. I'm just saying from now on it's best to just keep to the the, the truth.
Fee pulls out her lyre, which is kind of like a small harpsichord, and she begins playing this beautiful melody. And this sort of mass crowd of mushroom people start gathering, kind of encircling you. Not encircling you, but sort of like just kind of gathering in like a crowd behind you, listening to this music, and they're all just kind of standing there staring. But while she's playing this song, and during your conversation, the man, sorry, he was cleaning up the area. You are free to enter now if you'd like to. Do keep in mind he is might be a little intimidating.
All right.
How so?
He's
Don't
gonna be
judge a book by its cover.
thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much. So I guess we enter unless you guys want to do something before we do.
Well, I'll whisper to Moon as I'm heading in. Is like, I'll be more careful with my words moving forward. I see what you're saying. I didn't really think anything of it.
Yeah, you know, this is like showing a yeah. It was literally showing a gun to a kid and tell him not to pull the trigger. You know.
Alrighty.
All right, I'll enter with.
You guys.
Dan.
Okay. Reggie takes the lead. He pushes open the silk curtain, very soft to the touch, very. It's pleasant to the skin as you push it open, and you instantly notice that inside of this teepee, this tent, it's a lot warmer than it was in the other areas. But there's also this faint sense of decay, I suppose I would say. It seems to be
No,
masked by sort of the earthy smell that's definitely heightened in here. It's hidden, but you can sense you can pick up this sense of decay.
no, that is
Perception check to see if
intimidating.
like specifics you can.
Makes sense. He probably lives in a lot of dead things to nourish himself. I have a passive perception of 18 just for information. See if I could roll higher. Nope. So 18.
So how I do passive perception
Mhm.
is the average on rolls. So if you
Oh,
guys
okay.
were searching for something and you had to keep on rolling to try and find it, I would use your passive perception. Or if you guys are walking around and you're looking for like traps or something, that's how I would use it.
Okay.
You it It's something you've smelled before. It's the thick scent of like it's decaying flesh, to say the least. You're not sure if it's humanoid in nature or not. It's definitely some sort of beast, plant matter, organic matter,
My
and
passive
insects
perception,
for
but mine's
that purpose
15.
does not make that kind of scent. Like the decaying carcass of a dragonfly, for example, doesn't really smell as bad as a decaying carcass of a bison or of a rodent. They're a
Yes.
lot different.
Can I try to sniff the air too and see if I recognize any of the smells?
If you recognize what?
Any of the mixing smells?
Sure, you can.
Mm.
Perception if you want
Perception,
to smell it.
perception. I am trying not to be obvious.
Okay. As you guys enter this room,
Like
20. You're pretty much you smell the same thing as Reggie. It smells like some sort of decaying animal. Also, you guys see sort of in the back of this huge teepee, which is probably at least, I mean, maybe 120 feet, 100 feet in diameter, maybe wider. Large black sphere in the very back.
mm,
See
How
through
large?
it. It's You're not quite sure what exactly it is. It's just this large dark sphere of you can't seem to perceive through, even if you have dark vision.
When you say large, how large are you talking?
Large as in, let me check. I believe it is foot diameter sphere. It's pretty large.
All right.
Encapsulates about a fifth of this
mm,
TP.
And it's directly in the back.
Also, with your perception checks, you hear this sort of gnawing, crunching originating from the sphere, and
does it sound like somebody
That's
is
probably
eating?
sounds like something's eating.
that's probably the elder then.
Mm.
Oh,
I guess I'll go. I'll take the lead.
Okay. As you all walk forward, and like once you get within like a certain sort of sphere, this large sort of ring of yellow spores shoots out, like almost as if it's pulsating from the sphere, and it same type of spores that the mushroom people used to talk to you in your head. A bit dizzy from it, kind of almost as if like you're kind of drunk, almost. But I mean, nothing
Makes sense.
that's going to affect you mechanically. You begin to walk closer, and you hear this sort of clicking sound, and you hear this kind of snapping of bones, almost the kind of snapping where and your bones pop, like the popping of bones. Mushroom people don't have bones, but this large feline paw, slowly, this huge creature of about maybe, I would say, along the terms of maybe 16 feet in height, exits out. It has the body of a, but it has this sort of where the lion's mane would be. It kind of goes from this sort of golden brown to this sort of faint yellow to this wispy white sort of color around this thin skin, hairless neck that protrudes with a very large Adam's apple at its center that kind of goes up to this avian bird head. It seems to be the head of some sort of vulture with this large, wickedly curved beak. And this thing steps out. Wings kind of gliding behind it, tuck themselves in as it kind of sits on its rear, its two front paws sort of. Welcome.
I have
I
some
guess
bad
I'll
feeling.
wave at it and I'll also say welcome. Never mind, not welcome, I said hello.
I have a bad
It's a
feeling we are the
pleasure.
dinner.
I'm taking you're the elder.
That's what they call me. Sort
Well,
of shiftily looking about you.
My name is Stanza of Wiffalo. Nice to meet you, sir.
He extends this long paw towards you. Your hand barely matches the size of this large lion paw that comes towards you. I can put a picture in the Discord real quick, just so you guys kind of get an idea.
Yeah, he's probably some weird amalgamation, like a mushroom that's just grows out of different animals, I'm guessing.
Doesn't look like a mushroom at all, actually, and he looks like
Oh.
some sort of lion-bodied vulture.
Oh, that's
yeah,
actually not too bad. I thought he would look scarier.
But he's kind of tall above you. I must say, I appreciate my so good word.
that's what
Don't worry,
the creature looks
we
like.
always help those in need.
Is he speaking in our
Good for
minds
you.
like the other things, or is he talking?
That is the elder.
He's speaking both in your minds and out loud, which is kind of disorientating.
Yeah.
Dear elder, might I ask you something?
That's speaking elder.
How is it that you don't look like all the other mushroom people around here?
Good question.
Yeah.
Because I'm not one.
Rachel, I have a bad
Large,
feeling.
wicked smile towards you.
So are you some kind of guardian of this place then?
You could say that. The one in charge, to say the least. He gives very hard consonants such as T, C, K, very sharp, and he makes a sort of tongue click as whenever he finishes sounds.
I whisper to Moon. It's like, well, maybe we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, like the mushroom said.
I whisper back, yeah, Reggie, maybe you know when you're invited for dinner, you actually don't think that you are the dinner. You know that's how it makes me feel right now. I'm Terran spook here.
I'll tell him. As you probably already know, I do indeed have a spell that could help this whole village here foster for over the next year. I can cast it once I get a long night's rest.
Do you?
Yes.
Interesting. You're speaking of. I guess I'll make an Arcana check for him. She'll probably succeed on. He succeeds. You're talking about the plant growth spell.
That's indeed the spell I am talking about.
Intriguing. Not in my repertoire. Been trying to teach the few mages we have.
Well,
And our
Whoops.
empire.
Sufficient creepy.
well, I'm not a mage. I don't think mages can cast this spell anyways. It's mostly druids that can.
Sufficiently creepy
Indeed.
picture. That's a great
Regardless,
game.
Sorry.
yourself at hearth. As long as you don't do anything unsavory.
Um,
Yeah.
what would be something that would be seen as unsavory? This is a different culture to us, so it might be a good idea for you. It would be great if you could inform us about some things that are different here than they are outside.
Showing aggression, hostility, especially towards I. Really towards me. I don't mean to be unsettling, which I'm sure I am. I'm very touchy.
Oh.
You notice he kind of gives off this constant sort of every time he stops talking, he kind of just has this kind of creepy smile. It's made more creepy by the fact that he has a beak
Yeah,
and it's just kind of weird looking.
and also because he always does those weird poses.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
bet
uh,
that's not the Papa
I,
Smurf you are expecting.
yeah, I'll tell him, do not worry, Elder. I've been raised by a bunch of superficial fools who only care about their looks and never care about what's inside. So I know how evil people can be inside, even though they look like angels from the outside, and I'm guessing it's the opposite with you.
I see we have similar philosophies. Humanity is sin. However, since you have assisted one of my family, you. I've lived for a very long time, and thus I've seen many things, many civilizations, communities, cities, even terrain come and go.
yes, great elder. We were just happy to help a creature in need. That's what we're all about, really, is doing the good thing for the good thing's sake. So we will definitely not do anything unsavory while we're here. That's for sure.
Good to know.
And dear Elder, I tried to speak to you through your people
Can you
from
repeat
here.
what you said?
What?
Can you repeat what you said?
Okay, I was like, dear Elder, I tried to speak to you through the person we saved, and I've asked you to teach them how to protect themselves. I'm not saying teach them how to fight. I'm saying teach them how to protect themselves when they are wandering around. They're in dire need of your help.
He kind of gives this large inhale. They can handle themselves. That one, and you see kind of shaking, kind of looking, peering through the silk screen, quickly ducks behind it the mushroom that was leading you. It is merely too curious. Worry not, though. If we were to all come in danger of some kind, I am more than capable of.
Well, what I'm asking is that you can prepare them if they're curious to be safer when they're venturing outside your village.
I suppose I could teach them to be more safe, but quite frankly, they're all independent mushroom people. It's my duty to guide the lost. They work under me. They bring me what I want or need, and I give them protection. Right? Intelligence,
I don't like it.
predictions, divinations.
I don't like this creature.
Curiosity can be fulfilled merely by their religious delvings, of melding.
I don't like
That
this guy.
I'm sure he explained a little bit of what it was to you.
Yes,
Imagine.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I would like to say that I don't find curiosity to be outside of anybody's nature, no matter what species they are. So that's like a natural to all creatures, and there is nothing bad about curiosity, just that it can get you in danger.
Of course, there's nothing bad about curiosity. The question is, do you have the strength to handle the burden that curiosity can bring you? Certain people are plenty capable of defending themselves in certain situations. It's physically evolved enough to be immune
Well,
to the corruptions of mankind.
I I would say that I disagree if you're trying to imply that curiosity leads towards corruption. I think there are other qualities that lead towards corruption, and that is not curiosity. However, I don't think a person is weak only because he or she is curious. Therefore, they are like people that need help and need protection as well. No matter how capable they are, as you can see, and I'm gesturing broadly with my hand, we are traveling in groups. Individually, every one of us is strong, but
A
together
sort of
we are
long
stronger.
pauses to use, and he stares specifically towards you, Moonshadow. We will agree to disagree, ASMR. Hiding your true form, I see. He has a sort of dry cackle that he gives off.
I smile like right it back and like, you know, well, if you know who your parents are, you're in love because I don't. I've been dumped down here and it's sort of weird that you know what I am and I don't know what you are. So, what are you?
What am I? He hacks up a bone, kind of, and you can every time. Another thing, every time he talks, his Adam's apple vibrates like heavily, and he just hacks up this bone and spits it onto the ground behind him. Forgive me. Wipes his beak with his paw.
I
You
certainly don't
ask?
like it.
Well, hard to explain. try and interpret for yourselves what he is. History can work, religion can work, nature can work. Religion will tell you the sort of symbology that this kind of creature entails. History will kind of tell you if you've ever seen something like this sort of creature before or any depictions of it. Nature will tell you specifically something about like the anatomy, etc.
Got a
No.
24 nature.
Okay.
Uh,
Moon, are you making any checks? I guess I'll make one for
yeah,
Fee.
I'm trying to check which one, either history or nature.
Fee, let's see, what would she go
I'm
with?
not good in anything of these, but I'll roll with history. Maybe
Fee's
I
gonna do
stumbled
history too.
upon every history fact about that creature.
17? Okay.
Yes.
So we're just going to start with the first roll. So Simon, your nature check tells you he's definitely not a natural creature.
Mm.
The qualities that many monstrosities tend to have, where they're sort of mixtures and kind of just amalgamations of all sorts of different creatures. Some creatures that you've heard of in folklore, the sort of
I've been
evil
properly spooked.
manticore, the sort of just chimera, things of that sort that you kind of heard of in folklore, where it's these sort of just
I'm properly spooked.
creatures all combined into this one huge sort of mess.
So
To
he's
say
not
the
a
It's
least.
magical
creepy.
chimera then.
Something of that sort. You think?
Alright.
I mean, he's definitely a magical creature. You would assume.
Yeah.
Definitely not something that's natural. Birds, mammals, you can tell that he has the body of some sort of feline creature and the head of a bird, wings, etc. Which birds, mammals aren't as common in this world as reptiles, fish. Um, Reggie, since you guys all rolled history, the rest of you rolled history. You guys got the same number too. Fee doesn't really seem to know that much. Who you guys have seen depictions of to this you guys were both sort of treasure hunters and things. You guys have heard about sort of these sort of tomb raids that happened, especially sort of in the more
Right.
area near the hive. These ancient tombs that belong to some sort of long forgotten civilization ruled by sorcerer kings and knights. Creatures were usually regarded as some sort of like I told Dancer, some sort of amalgamation of creature, typically body of lion, head of human, head of something, etc. They were typically seen as guardians, informants,
A chimera.
etc. As for the name of the creature, like what specifically it is, you're not entirely sure, but you do know that it's probably something ancient
Powerful.
and magical, powerful.
I whisper over to Moon. I say, perhaps we shouldn't
Okay.
challenge the giant magical creature too hard on his philosophy, lest we anger him.
Well, I don't want to anger him. I'm trying to convey that his people need protection. When they're meddling around in the other people's business, even though it's led by curiosity and it's not harmful, they can get hurt and they need his protection. And like to, they need him to teach them how to protect themselves.
I agree, but he seems to not agree as much.
You know, Reggie, I believe this like in the nature cause
Sort of staring
flow
at
of
you guys the
stuff.
entire time you're having this conversation, kind of smirking.
I'll tell him before I go and take a little rest. I would also like to introduce a friend of mine to you that I haven't introduced yet, and I'll let
Are you
Glitter
speaking
Spring.
of the flying creature?
Yes, her name is Glitter Spring. She can introduce herself though.
Yes, I saw her fluttering around you. And if she was invisible, you realize at this moment he can see through invisibility.
It's
Sounds
interesting.
right.
Well, whatever you are, whatever you are, dear elder, you're an interesting creature, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of your stories the next morning.
Thank you. Stop calling me Elder. You can call me by my given name,
What is your
Sulada.
Nesulara?
I'll type that out for you.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Ah, okay.
Let's see, what's the
Well then,
name?
Pnesunara,
This,
could you maybe send one of your underlings to show me a resting place? I would like to go take a rest now.
Why not? He scrapes the rock underneath him 3 times with his claws, leaving these sort of deep scratch marks. And this kind of lumbering, some sort of ogre out of the corner. It looked like some sort of like mound to you guys before, but it kind of lumbers over. It seems to be decaying slightly, and it has these mushrooms kind of covering it. And it kind of stands next to Nesurada, and he guide him to a resting place, won't you?
I don't want
Thank
to
you,
speak.
Blankly stares in your direction, its eyes milked over, jaw hanging open, tongue kind of out, begins to walk towards
Thank you,
the.
thank you, Pnesu Rara. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll follow the ogre monster thing.
He kind of
I've
waves
got
at you.
I've got very wide eyes, and I'm backing away from the magical creature without breaking eye contact.
Just smiles at you as you walk away.
I bow slightly my head and like, well, my mission here is done. We did accompany this uh, person here, and unfortunately, I have to be going on my adventure or quest. I did come to ask you personally to protect your people. It's not that there aren't any other adventurers that will protect them when they're outside of your influence, but I do believe that they might uh, be tempted to hurt your people.
Sure, they are a delicacy.
Well, I am not
The
acquainted with
people on the
that,
surface.
and I am not willing to try my chances to try.
Before you go, exactly that you all are going, and as you two are about to exit this sort of silk curtain with this large creature, the large ogre sort of mushroom infested thing, you guys have time to turn around and respond. All of you guys are kind of here to listen, is like what I'm saying. Where exactly are you all?
What do you mean?
I'm asking in which direction you're headed. Where's the next location
Oh,
you're
well,
stopping by?
I've been looking for a pearl or a set of pearls that value more than 100 gold, so we were heading towards the coast. I've been told there is a village there, like a fisherman village, that could supply me with one of these.
What if I told you some sort of thanks? I suppose I could tell you where one is, and you might not have to pay for it.
I will be very happy if you bestow that gift on me.
Oh, bestow upon you I cannot, but I can give you location.
Oh, that's what I meant.
All right, one moment. He
Okay, I'm getting pretty
walking
late.
on all fours towards the black sphere that he was previously in. You hear some rustling and kind of the shaking of bones as this, as you hear some sort of like throwing sound and this sort of clattering as these bones launch out from the sphere and clatter along the ground. He walks out, are rolled back into his head, and they're completely sort of a blackish red, sort of murky color. And the color constantly kind of swirls in his eyes.
It's interesting.
It sticks up straight up in the air, and it starts to point in different directions. And you kind of hear him sort of give like this thought as he sort of comes back to his sort of normal conscious state. His eyes roll back. If you go to the coastline just north of here, northeast, I suppose, certain fields of clams and oysters and the like, not associated with Shell Town. They haven't been harvested or found yet. They are a little deeper in the water, but you should be able to get a pearl from one of them. Sting for a long time.
Thank you very much. I'll go look for one there.
Great.
Okay.
Then he kind of just stares as you guys pose with the large ogre mushroom creature of some kind. And was waiting outside for you all. He says, how did it go?
It
Tell
went
them.
well.
It went very well. I think we did a great job of introducing each other.
Excellent. I'm very happy that you all, my saviors, were able to commune with the Elder. He's a very pleasant man, is he not?
Yes, he is. And I pat the guy on the shoulder and say, please, when you go explore, prepare yourself for danger next time, please.
As you pat him, this faint little dust of spores kind of falls off of his shoulder, almost sort of like dandruff, almost like this, like powder. Yes, ma'am. I will be sure to do so.
Right, and maybe don't go alone either. Like, you know, you by yourself, not so great. You with other people, maybe.
Well, I suppose that makes sense. I try to stay away from the roads, and like if I go out in the sun for too long, I dry out. But I just thought I saw something, and it intrigued me.
Just be
Touch it.
careful, because something you see might be an obvious trap.
I suppose that makes sense.
Just remember those big meat cleavers. They were very nice and shiny and glittering and stuff, and they're very dangerous.
You're correct. They definitely. While we don't really have too much of a sense of pain, some damage to my body.
Yeah, ask
All the time.
yourself, would your body grow back if you get chopped in half?
Actually, it will.
Really?
Surprisingly, yes.
But
Only if
not
I
if
have
you
the
were-
proper
not if
amount
you
of
were-
nutrients and things.
But not if you were boiled in a stew and eaten.
Definitely not, which is something I'm quite afraid of.
Well, do not be afraid. Just don't strive too far from safety anymore, and you should be fine.
Try not to.
Well, let's go to bed then. Or
This
if you guys want to
large,
do anything else, I'm going to bed.
Yeah,
large
you're
ogre
going to
thing
bed, we're going
guides
out.
you to this another teepee. I'm sorry if it's a little dusty. We don't have visitors too often.
It's okay, don't worry.
There aren't any bedrolls or anything in there. It's kind of dusty. There's some cobwebs in the entrance, but I mean, it's big enough for all of you guys to sleep in comfortably without like being like right up next to each other.
Well,
I do have a
actually,
bedroll, so I'll just use my own and go to sleep.
oh, wait a second. Didn't we wake up and then, like midday, encounter this guy? Is it like really late for sleeping because I want to leave this place and head towards the direction the elder pointed me.
It's not really late. You guys could walk on if you wanted to. It's just that he said he wanted to sleep, so I was like, okay.
He wanted a long rest so that he could cast his spell.
I think warlocks get spells back on a short rest, anyways.
Yep.
Short rest too? Okay.
Yeah, they get spells back on a short rest.
Okay, never mind. Then I'll do a short rest and.
Yeah, you
see if
guys talking to that guy, that was a short rest. So,
Okay. Okay. Let's retcon the fact that I needed sleep. Then I just
okay.
didn't know. Yeah, I'll ask the elder. Then before we go, what's his name? Penesurara, would you be so kind as to show me a place where I can enrich the most plants and plant people as possible, and maybe let them gather around me so that I can help the most?
Okay. So instead of you asking him to have something
Exactly.
lead you to a rest place, this ogre thing leads you to a place where Nesurata directs it. And this ogre thing guides you all the way back up to the entrance of this
Just
cave,
a second.
stands at the entrance and kind of waves its hands, its large meaty fingers, one of them cut off and seems to be having some sort of gangrene.
Yep. Okay. Um, I'll cast my 8-hour ritual then.
Okay. What's the
Uh,
casting time?
8 hours.
Casting time is 8 hours.
Oh, the casting. Well, if I cast it as a ritual, it's 8 hours. So yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, I went to close the door. What did I miss?
Yeah, I mean, sitting here for 8 hours. I don't.
No, I'm not
You,
sitting there for 8 hours. I'm moving out as soon as I can.
I mean, if you want to sit there by yourself, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I do want to sit here for 8 hours and cast this ritual to help these plants as I promised.
Well,
Hey, yeah, you didn't tell me this thing was going to take 8 hours. Oh boy.
Well, it takes a long time
Well, you
to
can
enrich a
sit in with
mire
him if you
literate.
want. Or we
But
can have Fifi here to guard him.
the positive thing is that this spell, if I cast it for 8 hours, lets me enrich plants in a half-mile radius for a whole year. If I only use it instantaneously, then I can only do it in a very small area. And I'd like to help all of these people. As Moonshadow said, it's a great thing if they can defend themselves, and if they grow rapidly over this year, they might very well be able to defend themselves better.
Do as you wish. I'm just leaving. You didn't give me the pearl necklace. I'm going after my own pearls.
Okay, sure. Where are we going to meet up then?
Well, ask the elders about the location. I think it's northeast from here, so we're heading
I
towards the
mean, I
coast.
mean, this is gonna take a while for me anyway. So couldn't we just say you come back? I mean, this
Nope,
place isn't too.
Well, we could just head back here once you get your pearls, can't we?
Yeah, exactly. That was my proposal.
maybe. First we have to find that place.
it seems to be in the same direction of Shelltown. It's northeast, but it's not
It's not in the shell
directly.
town.
Yeah, it's not Shelltown itself.
Did we get like a specific location relative to Shelltown?
He just said that it's not in Shelltown's borders and that they don't farm it, but it's an area where clam and oyster bed has built up, and I mean they're Might be some pearls and stuff there. Just told you the
Okay.
general location of the object you were looking for.
Okay, I will be heading towards that general location.
Make a
Well,
survival check. See if you can find it.
I'm not.
I can assist her.
yeah, sure.
Please do.
Fifi will just stay with me then for while you're doing this.
Roll with advantage, Moon.
Okay. I think I stick with the 10.
Okay. Yeah. It takes you a long time to get to this location, even with helping you. Reginald didn't really get the exact directions from
Me neither.
Nesurata. You try to convey them to him. They're not. It's hard to understand. Um,
Reggie, you're better
the
than me.
ranger and Reggie's very good at exploring sort of nature and the like. So I mean, he definitely helps. If it was just you by yourself with the tune, it would be a lot harder. But about maybe 4 hours looking for this oyster clam bed from the progressively as you guys start heading closer and closer towards Shelltown, the area becomes progressively less grassy, more rocky, more sandy, kind of as you guys are walking along the coast. Shelltown like faint in the distance as you guys approach this like little pocket. It's probably about it's late afternoon at this point. I mean, the sun's still bright up in the sky and everything, but it's late afternoon, and you make some perception checks as you guys feel like this is kind of the area you can imagine it being in.
Mm,
16, 16 as well. Um,
perception.
yeah, especially with you, Reggie. Nature aficionado in all aspects as a ranger. Um, an area that would be hospitable to clams, oysters, and the like, different types of shellfish, things of that sort. And looking through the water, it's not exactly clear, but it's not super murky either. It does look like the terrain is very rocky rather than sandy, so it feels like there are probably some beds here for oysters and clams.
I want to spend some time thoroughly checking it if like this is the location.
Okay. You kind of roll up your pants and start wading into the water. Um, it's a little it's not it's a decent temperature. It's not super cold, not super hot. Just kind of room temperature, I suppose. This little faint bit of warmness. And do you have to as you try and like walk through the beds, you're having to like avoid like sharp edges of rocks and things of that sort. And as you begin making your way, and you kind of put your head underwater, opening your eyes, like looking, you will try to find as a clam or oyster. You do see the faint glimmering of shells, kind of deeper in the water.
Okay. I will take a dive.
Okay. Reginald kind of standing. Your feet are kind of like in the water at
Mm,
the moment. You see Moonshadow put her head in the water, kind of comes up, takes a deep breath, and just dives into the ocean. Do you want to follow, or do you just want to kind of stand at shore?
Depends. Can I like plug up my rifle so it doesn't get all?
You can leave it on shore.
I'm gonna get, I don't know, knee deep or so, and I'm just gonna wait there.
Okay, so you kind of wade a little deeper in the water. Not nearly as resistant as the swamp that you guys were in before. So I mean, you just wade there and you kind of stand there, gun in hand, uh, glancing about. Since you're kind of standing, keeping watch outside, give me another perception check. 17. Nothing out of the ordinary seems to be happening above water at all. Moonshadow, as you delve deep into The ocean, I mean, it's a little ways down. What's your constitution modifier so we can just
So,
tell how long you can hold your breath? 2? I
yep.
think you can hold your breath for, I have to look it up. I'm not entirely sure about the rules on holding your
I
breath. I know
think that's
it's
either 2 or 3 minutes.
equal to 1 plus your con mod, so you can breathe for 3 minutes, which is a decent amount.
Well, I'll
Um,
make it like 1.5 minutes down and then the other 1.5 up if it's that deep.
okay. It's not super duper deep, but it's just deep enough to like maybe be like a little bit of concern. But I mean, you can make an athletics check to see how fast you can swim. 15, that's good. Oh yeah, you're kind of just gliding through the water quite easily. You get up
Okay,
to what
minus
looks to be
one,
this
what did I
clam and
take?
oyster bed. There are some bigger
Why?
clams and things of that sort, and then there are some smaller ones. You do see this sort of this fish
Oh
with a
my
it's a
god.
fish with a hard mouth that's kind of crunching away at one of these. Notices you approach, it kind of darts off in an opposite direction, leaving a hole in one of the shells. You peer into that one. There doesn't seem to be anything in there. It seems to have been eating the innards of whatever this clam oyster thing was.
I'll keep looking.
Okay. Make a nature check. See which clam you think is gonna be the winner. 20. You look at this nice hearty sized clam. It looks like it might have a decent. It looks promising to say the least. If you want to try and open her up, pry her open,
Yep.
um,
I guess a crowbar
how would you
won't
like to try
be.
and do so? You have a crowbar? Okay.
I do have a
Um,
freaking crowbar, but doesn't it seem like opening a clock with a wrench?
opening a what?
Opening a clock with a wrench. Like not with the proper. I have a tips tools too. Which one would be better?
Thieves' tools definitely won't help in this situation. A crowbar would be significantly more helpful than thieves' tools when it comes to opening this clam up. But you kind of feel yourself running out of breath. You swim up to the surface, take a deep breath, and go back down.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I do not plan on drowning.
Okay. You go back up, swim back down. You got your crowbar out. Make an athletics check to try and pry this thing open. 23, that's good. You jam your crowbar into the sort of, I guess you could say, the lips of the clan, and you start pulling. It's kind of hard underwater too. I mean, you feel lighter, but it's hard to kind of make a gain, and you're kind of trying to keep yourself from floating
Mm,
upwards as you're pulling on it. Eventually, you seem like you kind of get it loose a little bit, and as it opens up backwards, it kind of flies open. It seems to be closing a little bit, but it does look like there is spherical object resting on the tongue.
I'll try to grab it.
Okay. As you go to grab it and as you're pulling back, this thing slams shut. I need you to make
Can I have
a
my
dexterity saving throw.
crowbar like to force it from closing? Would
If
I
you
be
were to
able?
have done that before, uh,
Okay. Dexterity saving throw.
you can make a dexterity save to see if you can
Which one?
react in time.
Oh, I'm not sure which were the saves though. Um,
The saves are on the top left. They're on the right side next to your abilities and on top of your skills.
oh,
Yep, they're
right.
above the skills. Just click dexterity. Um, you notice that it's about to slam shut as you've been watching it progressively start to lower its mouth. You take your crowbar, jam it, grab the pearl, twist the crowbar, pull it out as it slams shut, not catching your arms. You feel like that might have broken an arm if you,
If I stayed a little bit
which is
longer,
good.
yeah.
Kind of
Okay.
on the rush of adrenaline from just having to kind of quickly react and kind of pull out this Pearl and the crowbar. You dart up towards the surface. Pearl kind of in between your arms, crowbar in hand, and you start swimming. It's a little hard, but I mean, you're able to make it. You're not wearing any like heavy armor or anything. Reggie, you see her burst out of the water, sphere and a crowbar in hand, and you start
And a
making your way
sketchy
towards the
smile.
shore as well.
Did you find one?
And now, what does this look like? A jellyfish? And I'm showing off the pearl.
Okay. Aha. Well, let's see if this will work.
She erupted over the surface of the water. Reggie, you would have noticed with your perception check as you were kind of keeping watch. There does seem to be a band of people kind of making their way towards the shoreline. It looks about like a group of about 7 to 10 people, kind of marching their way towards the coastline that you guys are at. You kind of
I'm
peer at
hiding the
them
pearl.
from the water. They don't seem to be heavily armed or anything, but they are making their way towards you. And as Moonshadow gets above the surface of the water and starts swimming out, and you guys get out of the water itself, they're kind of within about 20 feet of you.
I am
tuck the
putting the
pearl.
pearl. Yeah, in my backpack. Quickly. I'm trying to hide it very quickly in my backpack so it's not visible to anybody but Reg.
All right, make a sleight of hand check as you try and just kind of duck this into your book bag so if they don't notice. 27, yeah.
I'm
I guess I'll make a perception check for the group, but I mean, I don't think they're going to notice that. Yeah, no. You kind of you hide this large pearl inside of your book bag as this sort of man with a kind of a southern drawl to him approaches y'all. What do y'all think you're doing? As he kind of marches
going for a
towards you.
swim.
He's wearing clothes that have you ever seen that show Deadliest Catch where like they wear like the
Nope.
kind of rubber,
I
I
haven't
guess you
seen
would
it.
say they are.
Yeah, I think you know. I know what you're saying.
That's kind of like the sort of thing he's wearing. He seems to be, there's like some mud along the bottom of it. What do y'all think you're doing?
Enjoying
Just
the
going for a
sun
little
and the
swim.
weather. Yeah. And I was demonstrating here to my friend Reggie. There's nothing down there to be afraid of, but he's still afraid. By the way, do you have any waterproof for me? He's afraid for his stupid rifle.
I just don't like swimming. Okay, look,
Oh, come
my
on.
lady here just loves swimming, and I'm like, I don't want to get in that water, and she's like, it's fun, and I'm like, I don't know, it seems.
One of you make a deception, or make a deception check with advantage, Reggie, as
Uh,
Moonshadow's helping you.
yep, okay. Or I can do that.
And they're gonna make an insight check. He kind of looks at you, says, "Yeah, all right. I guess that kind of buys out. We don't like people being near our near our oyster
Yours?
fields. We
Oh,
live down there in Shelltown. That's our whole thing.
oh, don't
All right.
worry. We did not want to come there to actually ask for permission. And I'm sorry, but we didn't see any signs out here saying this is your property or anything, especially for swimming or bathing and enjoying the sun and having fun. Is that forbidden around here?
Yeah, it ain't forbidden, but just make sure you ain't taking nothing from our fields. All right. If you guys see nature, things of that sort, I want y'all to stay out of it. You understand?
I'm
Anyways,
sorry.
yeah, that's how we make
Water
our
is
living, and I ain't
nature.
trying to get everything stole from us.
Stealing what? What do you mean?
What? Well, what do you mean? What do I mean? That's how we farm. That's how we get our living. That's how we make our money. We harvest the clams. We eat them. We get their pearls. We make sure
There
that
are
they don't fall in
pearls?
population or anything of that sort.
Really? There are pearls
Oh,
here?
right. Remember I was saying Shelltown's near here? Oh, I didn't realize we were so close. This is our mistake. We did not know that we were on anyone's property. We will be moseying right on out of here.
I would
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay, we're moving now.
My God.
Besides,
Start kind
Reggie,
of walking
you're still
away
spoiling our
awkwardly.
fun.
Uh,
I'm getting out of, well, I am on the beach actually, and it's like, okay, Reggie, let's move on. We'll find another place where we can actually have fun.
damn tourist. As you guys kind of walk away, you kind of hear that faintly in the distance. This large group of
Good.
people begin wading into the water and kind of like looking around and the like. And you guys get away kind of scotch-free at the moment. You make your way back towards the area where Dancer is at, which it's been about 6 hours because it took you guys a long time to
Yeah.
find that pearl.
Yeah, you just see me
Walk
sitting
back.
there, and there's like a bunch of plant people that are doing like a dance thing around me, praising their nature overlord, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys come back to that, pearl in tow. Fifi kind of looks up. She looks really bored. She's kind of plucking the strings on her harps on her lyre, and she looks up towards you and recognizes that you have a pearl to it and kind of stares at it.
That was fast thinking, Moon. Good job back there.
Thank you for keeping an eye on the things.
Now, this is a large pearl. Like it's about the size of maybe
If I use
smaller than a
identify,
basketball, maybe the size of a soccer ball.
if I use identify, can I perceive what's the value of the pearl, or it won't be enough?
I'm not sure. I would assume so, but I don't remember the exact specifics of the identify spell.
Well,
But I can look at
identify
it real
spell
quick.
requires a pearl worth of 100 gold.
Let's see.
You can just
choose
try
one
to use the
object.
spell on something and see if it works or not.
Yeah.
Properties and how to use them. Well, you grab the pearl and you sit down to cast your identify ritual.
Yeah.
It seems to work because you use the pearl that you're holding as the component, and you kind of there with casting this ritual, and it seems the ritual seems to work. So you assume if this pearl is worth at least 100 gold,
It's
through. It
working,
doesn't
guys.
have any magical properties. It's a pearl.
And it's really big.
Might be a
Yeah.
little awkward to hold, but I mean it'll work.
Yeah, I was going to ask, can it be like hiding it in plain sight? Can it be embedded like in a necklace or done something with the pearl?
It is. It's way too big for any kind of jewelry. Um, crystal ball, if anything. Um, similar. It's a lot more sturdy than a crystal ball. I mean, you can definitely put it. I mean, it fits in your backpack. You know, like it fits in there.
Yeah, I was
You
hoping
know.
for something high value, small size.
Yeah, man. You just got the motherload of all pearls and you're upset that it's too big.
Well,
It's a
it's
huge.
awkward. It's huge. It's awkward.
I would be very satisfied with a pearl that big. You know, we could probably sell it for like $1 million and get
Yeah,
yourself a smaller pearl.
that was actually my idea. If this one is more than 100 gold, that's pure profit.
That huge thing is probably worth way more than 100 gold.
Yeah, and it's really awkward to be wearing it and showing it off around and every time I want to identify an object. Oh, come
Yeah,
on.
just don't take it into Shelltown because they're gonna get suspicious.
Yeah, that reminds me. Let me sit for 10 more minutes and try to work my spell once more. And in our first session, I have found a red wax candle which was in need of identification. I'll try
Yes, you
to
did.
identify that one.
You sit down, cross-legged, cast your identify spell. This sort of faint light emanates from the pearl, and it's kind of almost as if this faint light kind of sends this kind of strand of magical energy onto the item that you're identifying, and kind of coaxes it in this sort of warm light. And sit there for 10 minutes, reading its properties. It seems to be. It has a very minor enchantment. It is in terms of like what its base properties is. It's a sealing candle, which is like a candle that you use to seal envelopes and the like. They usually a lot of nobility uses these types of things. You light the candle, you drip the wax onto an envelope, and you push your signet ring into the wax, and it solidifies with your tools. And it,
And
other than that, it is a of everlasting light. It's a candle that never extinguishes.
so once I light it, I have to manually put it out.
Yeah, like it'll stay lit underwater. It will stay lit regardless of anything, and it won't use up the wick or the candle wax. Like it replaces itself. Energy candle.
Like like everlasting lantern with infinite amount of oil.
Yeah, it's just an infinite little candle. Fits in the palm of your hand. It's a normal
The only
little.
And
the,
I'm
the
like,
only problem with this thing is that you can't turn it off, so you probably can't put it in your backpack because then your backpack would start to burn once you start putting it on.
You can turn it off. It's just like
Oh really? Okay.
it stays lit. You learn command words whenever you. I think you learn command words. Word is extinguish. If you say extinguish, it turns it off. You have to actually light it to turn it on, but if you say extinguish, it goes out.
okay. And
Anything
I'm
special about that
thinking,
candle, Moon?
yeah, it never runs out when it's lit, and
Wow.
it does not go out underwater. Isn't that great?
Yeah, you could have used that to help you find the pearl.
I didn't know that.
I'm just kidding. You didn't need any help. You did that great out there.
But imagine how great it would be if we go for sunken ship treasures.
Yeah, not to mention, I think I might be the only one here that can't see in the dark, so.
Yeah, well, good for you. And that reminds me, would my character know about magical darkness?
About what?
Magical darkness.
Magic?
Yeah,
Magical
magical
darkness?
darkness.
Magical darkness. You can make an arcana check. I mean,
Okay, okay, okay.
11. You know that there is darkness that
That's not natural.
people can't see through.
Yeah,
It's darkness that light can't emit from.
do I know if this
That's about all you know.
candle? Yeah, so I have to make a wild guess whether the candle is going to dissipate that darkness or let me see through something like that. That's like not natural light dark.
Not sure.
Yeah. Hey Reggie,
The Nesuara, he might be able to help you with that. You're not sure. He seems to be quite intelligent.
that's true. Reggie, I have
It's
a
up to you.
suspicion about this candle. Maybe it can light even the darkness that's not natural. But we'll have to test that one.
Like the thing in the back of that tent?
Yeah, like that.
I don't know if we want to be snooping around that thing. I'm not really
I said
I'm
we
not
have
really
to
equipped to
test it.
take down a creature like that.
I didn't say when or where.
Oh, you just mean like that.
Yes, like that.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel better. Um, I don't know. I have no idea if it would work or not. Maybe.
Maybe me neither. But since it's magical and it seems can actually be lit underwater, like stay lit underwater, why not? It is possible, right?
Sure. Maybe next time we're in a situation like that, you bust that thing out.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah, maybe. Or
Round
we can ask.
this kind of mushroom ogre. He's like playing rock paper scissors by himself with a tree. Actually, your spell finishes.
Nice.
the plants have this faint magical glow in the area, a half-mile radius of sorts. The mushroom people that were kind of out with you, they kind of have a healthier looking skin complexion all of a sudden, and they definitely seem happy. You can tell happiness from a face without eyebrows or a mouth or a just
Well,
eyes.
they're probably just like cradling themselves from left to right from happiness or something.
Yeah, they're just kind of dancing around with very slowly, but they're they're doing it. And it's definitely nighttime about now.
Well, I mean, I couldn't do anything else while I was doing the ritual, so I guess I'll welcome the other two guys back. uh,
If we are
we'll
back,
just
we are not sure how long it will take us to go back.
no, you are back. Like you came like 6 hours later, so 2 hours before I ended my ritual.
I don't want to be back.
Yeah, that's what he said earlier.
Yeah, you guys are 100% back in time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just go to you guys and ask you. Oh, welcome back.
Thank
How did it
you.
go?
Well, so. And I need actually to see the elder for something. It was about the location he gave us. Please excuse me. And I'll go and I'll make sure nobody else follows.
She found a pearl.
Well, that's good. I'm glad she finally found her pearl. I guess I guess I'll just have to repay her some other way at some point. Maybe I'll buy her like
I
a
want to
new
show that
armor
guy.
or a new sword or something. I'll find a way to repay her.
I feel like she would be more pleased with deeds than monetary value.
Well, if it's just deeds, then
Or stabbing him in the back.
I don't see a problem because I'm a helpful guy.
My character will never ever trust him.
So, are you guys delving back
Doesn't
into
like
the
him.
little mushroom cave? I know Moonshadow is because she wants to go speak with Nesurada, but
Well, it's night and I just had an 8-hour ritual, so I'm going to bed.
okay. The ogre guy man leads you to the dusty teepee I had told you guys about before. Reggie, what would you like to do? Fee is kind of following you at this point in time.
Well, I guess I'll follow Dancer to wherever we're planning to sleep, and I just want to fiddle around with my tinker's tools, become acquainted with what each one of them is, and just mess with those for a bit.
Okay. Dancer kind of goes in. The ogre kind of leads you to it, and you guys walk into this little teepee. Like I said before, plenty of room to lay down. Fee is kind of toying with like her instruments. You're kind of messing around with your tinker's tools and like your gun and things of that sort. And Dancer kind of just passes out because of a magic sickness from casting an 8-hour ritual. Moonshadow, you approach the large teepee that was housing the elder before. Are you gonna just walk in there, or?
Well, there isn't any way for me to knock or somehow announce my presence. I just don't want to
You could try
stampede in
and
there.
or something. There doesn't seem to be a knocker. It's like a teepee with a silk curtain, so nothing really solid to really knock on. You
Well,
could
then
yell out.
I won't be yelling. I'll be like speaking to normal voice. It's like, excuse me, elder. Is it Can I see you? Is it appropriate for me to ask a question of you? If you're not indisposed, that is, if it's okay.
As you're kind of saying this large shadow encompasses you from behind, and you turn around and you see the ogre thing again, and it looks down at you, and you can hear the elder's voice coming through the ogre. Sure, come in.
Okay,
The
I
ogre
go
opens
in.
the curtain up for you to walk in.
Thank you very much for seeing me so late in the night. I'll be brief. I won't take much of your time. I would like to thank you about giving me that location. It was a wonderful place, and I'm really grateful. And I found this pearl there, and it's wonderful. And I showed him the pearl, and I have this one only one spell that actually that's why I was looking for a pearl. And I picked up my candle and stuff. And I found this candle, and I've heard about magical items that cannot be extinguished and underwater, but I was not sure if my assumption was right, and I did not want to risk it testing it in a hostile environment where I had to do or die situation. And that's why I came to ask you, would if that candle is lit, would it be able to penetrate like a magical darkness, like non-natural darkness that's being a cause of somebody else?
Um, listening to your question, he he shakes his body, kind of. You hear the bones popping again. Is towards you, lands in front of you, and he kind of shakes his wings, and these spores kind of rustle out of it. Well, why don't we test it out? And you see as
Okay.
he slams the ground with his claws, and it makes these sparks come out. However, these aren't like white sparks, like hot sparks. These are like black sparks, and these black little beads roll around the ground, and this dark sphere of darkness surrounds you.
I quickly light the candle just the moment before this one happens so I can still see.
You have the candle lit already, and
Okay,
the darkness encompasses you, and you can't see anything.
so the candle is not working
You still feel the warmth of the candle. It's still lit, but it's not producing any light in this sphere.
and I cannot see outside the sphere.
Cannot see anything while you're in the sphere now.
Okay, Yusura, thank you very much. That was very enlightening. No, no pun intended.
It's his concentration on the darkness spell. No problem.
Yeah, obviously it's not working in magical darkness. It was good to know. Thank you very much. I won't be bothering you for today any longer. Please excuse me.
All
And
right.
I will walk back to the sleeping area.
Yeah, you walk in. Fee went to sleep a while ago. Reggie's still up. The other two are asleep.
Okay, I'm like beckoning Reggie out, so I don't want to wake the others, like talking inside the room where we're supposed to be sleeping.
I quickly put my tinker's tools away and I follow her out of the tent.
Reggie, I have a bad news for you. Well,
Oh, what?
it's for all of us. Well, uh, the elder helped me test the candle. It's not working in magical darkness. You're as blind as bat, and that's very
Ah,
disappointing.
well,
It does not
hopefully we don't
help.
run into magical darkness too often then, I guess.
Yeah, if we do try to get quickly out of there. This candle can't help, unfortunately.
Right. So it stayed lit though, but you just couldn't see
Yes,
anything.
yes, I couldn't see anything, and I can see in the dark.
Wow.
Well, normal dark, that is
All right. Well, good to know. I'm glad you were
very
able
good.
to test that out. Could you
Yeah,
imagine if we were actually in the situation in the field and then you tried it and nothing happened? That would,
exactly because I imagined I wanted to do it when we are not in situations like that.
yeah, that would have been bad. Well, it's a good thing you tested it out.
Yeah, it's really good thing. Let's get some rest.
Sure. Hey, it's still a really cool candle.
True. And it's underwater. You know, we have to actually look for underwater adventures and breathing potions.
Sure. We are near a coast.
True. And there might be some sunken ships around here. And I imagine you can find some great monsters down there that you cannot find on land.
Yeah, as soon as I figure out how to make my gun work underwater, I
Hmm.
will definitely I will definitely look.
Don't you have a normal bow or harpoon thing like something?
Yes, I have a bow. It's for backup.
Well,
As
backup
you're
might.
talking about this, you do realize that a bow does not work very well underwater. Neither does a rifle.
Hmm.
Typically,
Hey,
like
maybe I
hand
could find like a
crossbows,
magical rifle.
crossbows kind of work underwater.
Maybe we can find the crossbows or some sort of harpoons and stuff. That would be very great for underwater hunting. How do you feel
Yeah.
about underwater hunting?
Well, um, I've never done it, so I don't know. You know, maybe we could get like maybe I could find a magical rifle that fires under like your candle.
Maybe. Or maybe we can magic your rifle
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, I I know how to use a crossbow,
Reggie, would
sure,
you?
but you know, carry a rifle and a crossbow get a little cumbersome.
We can find or look for someone to enchant your rifle so it can work underwater. Do
Yep.
you
And
know
then
a
as soon
person?
once we do that, then I'll just have to figure out how to breathe underwater. And
That's
then oh
easy.
my God, the oceans will know our fury. I will tell.
We just have to find some, let's put it outside help to breathe underwater.
Sounds about right.
Because I can't breathe underwater for long either, and it would be really nice to breathe underwater. I'd go for underwater hunting.
Yeah, I can only hold my breath for about 2 minutes. I never was the best.
Don't expect to be holding your breath for 1 hour. I can do it only for 3 minutes.
You're better than me.
Yeah, and still I have to dip in and out to breathe before I found the pearl.
Reggie, how do you think your character would feel about the ocean, about like wide open water? How do you think as a hunter, as someone that wants to hunt big game, do you think that your character is interested in hunting in the water? Do you think your character might be kind of scared of the water because it's just somewhere where it's really hard to fight? You're like maybe you would be the prey there. Like I don't know how your character's mindset might be.
Sure. Well, I think at the moment I'm mostly just humoring Moon,
Mm.
and that I don't actually want to spend most of my time in the water because I've never. I I would imagine that I've been like on ships and stuff a lot, but I've
Yeah.
never done anything like what she's suggesting. So I would probably be a little apprehensive to actually try.
That's why I was
Makes
trying
sense.
to hook Reggie into underwater hunting.
Yeah, I would probably not. I would probably not do it on my own. That's
Okay.
Well, since I know you are mostly about hunting, and since you know I'm mostly about treasures, pirate ships, sunk pirate ships with lots of treasures would make perfect sense, and there would be probably monsters to hunt.
well, you know, magic rifle, being able to breathe underwater. Once we get those two things done, I'm right there.
Yeah, sure. I'm not planning to shoot arrows underwater either, so uh, totally a crossbow or a harpoonish stuff like something. I'll need something to shoot underwater as well.
Okay. So you guys continue just kind of talk for a while, talking about like just like underwater adventures and stuff, and eventually drift off to sleep, just like your other
Yeah.
party members.
Eventually, we go to sleep.
Right.
So I'm guessing I would be the first one to wake up then, since they like stay up a few hours more.
You'd probably be about probably because you went to sleep early compared to everyone else.
In that case, I'm gonna use that time and I'll go to, what's his name again? Penisurara.
Okay. Do you just walk in or?
No, I'll just announce myself. Hello, may I enter, please?
Okay. You notice as you kind of wake up and you're just kind of early, you see the hustle and bustle of the Mycadid community is a lot right now. They seem to be moving about. There's like a lot more of them kind of walking the paths. You do smell the faint scent of like some sort of a kind of smells like porridge, something you've smelled before. Through the air, it smells really good. And yeah, you walk up to the TP and you announce, and the curtain get pushed aside by the large lion paw as Nesulada come in.
Thank you. As you've probably noticed, I've done what I promised. The area is enriched now. Um, all the fungus people should now grow way faster, and every plant here is enriched for the next year. Now there's one thing I wanted to ask you yesterday. I just didn't have the time. Um, you're an ancient being, right? How old are you?
Well, I can't give you specifics. The number is a little
I
large. We'll just say I've been alive for longer than your race has been around.
Wow. Could you share some wisdom with me that normal people wouldn't know? Some information about the world and the history of this whole plane?
Well, definitely give you some information. I suppose you're only deserving of it, considering you've enriched the lands around here. Let me ask you about your desires. Give me a moment.
interesting.
Sure.
That's very interesting. Talking about desires.
Fumbling through paper, looking for ahem, ahem, ahem.
It's always a good thing when you make the DM bring out his notes. Always a good feeling.
Kind of takes his claws and he kind of itches the kind of tuft of wispy hair around his neck, kind of constantly pulling at it. Lord Withello. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, it's my master.
Master, you say?
Yeah, I mean, technically he adopted me, but you could
No,
you
no
could say I'm
anything
more of a
about that.
slave than anything else.
I see. Now I can give you some information on. Hmm? If that was something you'd be interested in. I can't give out information to rashly. Inform me about your death, if that's something you'd be interested in.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
He
Information about?
says, would you like me to inform you about that being Lord Withalow, if you're interested in him. I cannot give out information too rashly.
Hmm.
I can also tell you about your death, if you would be interested in that. I know many things. Some information on a specific topic or person.
That means he
Well,
died.
I'm
I think.
definitely. I mean, if you say you can tell me about my death, I'm definitely interested, especially if you bring it up in connection with Lord Withalow.
Kind of clicks his black claws together. About the... You not?
Yeah, when when one of the people in the great courts gets sacrificed to birth a new emperor, right?
Yes, and that's, a story. Do you know how exactly... You know how it takes place? Do you know how it's conducted?
Well, from what I've heard, one of the most trusted people in each court will get sacrificed, and then a new emperor will be decided by the courts. I don't
Yes,
know
that's,
much.
beginning
That's
of the story,
interesting.
I suppose. The bare minimum, the details. Once every... I suppose it's about, it's quite a short time for me, but every 1,000 or so.
Hmm.
Of course, 100,000 in our time, which is a little bit longer. There's a competition between the courts. A competition of beauty, nobility, overall fineness, things of that sort. Or virgin women of the courts. Who other beliefs, nations. One of them is the successor,
Wow.
sacrificed. Torturous death. I'm sure that you weren't told about that.
Yeah, I was told that the last sacrifice was made for the summer court to get in charge.
Yes, that is who is in charge at the moment. But essentially, that sacrifice, the new being that is created from that, gets a sort of combination of all the different courts' powers within it. It's sort of a an amalgamation of all the different courts into one being, however different, in through a little bit more brightly, if you
So
will.
technically some kind of avatar of the
More or less, yes. Essentially. The bonding, however wish you were to call it. We call it the ordering among my kind. Happens. Now, I've predicted your death, I've foreseen your death, I can see death. And while it might be quite morbid, be wary of the ordering.
Hmm.
Wary of this amalgamation, or you will die at its hands. Lord Withalow is not the strongest. The moment he has influence, quite soon the Feywild's going to be turned upside down.
I
That's
take it
interesting.
you can't tell me much more, but
I
could
can't,
you?
however, decide whether or not you want this to be an attack roll or not, but he starts reaching his claws out towards your forehead.
I'll just stand there. I don't think he's doing anything weird.
His fingernail, I guess not his fingernail, one of his claws, he pierces in between your forehead, in between the kind of brow muscles.
Hmm.
pierces a deep
Okay.
trickle down your nose. Back out. You'll have a vision soon enough.
A vision. I guess I'm definitely thankful for this information. Vanessa Aurora.
You're welcome. Either way, have a safe travel if you are planning on leaving here.
Thank you. I hope you and the mushroom people will thrive in this new environment.
You will. Trust me. Way out towards, you notice out of the corner of your eye, he licks the blood off of his claw. You exit. Oh, the rest of you are awake at this point, and you guys have been brought porridge by these sort of mushroom people. It's filled with leeks and wildflowers and kind of potato starch. Pretty good, surprisingly. It's just a little breakfast they threw together for you. We're gonna end the session because Vivian's not here, and
All right.
don't want her to miss anything.
Did the hole in my head close automatically, or do I just sit there eating my breakfast with a hole in my head and blood?
You can patch it up, but it doesn't close. It's a
Okay.
deep kind of, like, so deep that it would cause like any like super like amount of harm upon you, but I mean, like, there's like blood just kind of trickling in two streams down the bridge of your nose.
Yeah, I guess I'll just at least try to stop the bleeding a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, 12, that's high enough. You're gonna patch it up, you're gonna wrap something around your head so that it bleeding and stuff. But yeah, so that's where we're gonna end it. No combat again. Sorry, but you know, lots of roleplay stuff type thing going on. Sorry that I talk so much.
It's
That's just
okay.
I mean,
We
No
changed
combat.
clothes.
that's cool.
Just wait till you hear how I react to my porridge, then we'll see if there's no combat.
you pour the porridge onto one of the mushroom people, and the hot soup makes it not very happy. Roll initiative.
Yeah.
Damn. Fifi's definitely gonna be surprised when she's back next week and she just sees me with a hole in my head and glowing mushroom people everywhere. It's gonna be a weird experience if you've been
Yeah.
living out this session.
All right, guys. Well, connect the bot first, but same time next week, or I guess actually not the same time. It'll be normal time next week because we started an hour early today. But
Yeah, it's all good.
all right.
Thank you.
See you guys then. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Mark.
guys.
Good game.
See ya.
Okay. That was my Sunday session, and I have to go in a little bit outside town. That's why we've been playing an hour earlier. I have to see you again, guys. Thank you for joining me here. Bye bye.